Good morning, Howie and Coach. Appreciate you guys taking the time today.
Thanks, Allie.
Thanks, Allie.
We'll get started here with Ruben Frank and then Jimmy Kempski.
Hey guys, question for Howie to start off. Howie, have you seen enough from Jalen this year to feel comfortable with him as your quarterback moving into the future?
You know, we talk about Jalen and the growth he had, really first-year starter, second-year player, leading this team to the playoffs, tremendously impressed by his work ethic, his leadership. Last time we talked was during camp, and we said we wanted to see him take the bull by the horn, and he certainly did that.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
We'll go to Jimmy and then Dave Zangaro.
Good morning, guys. This is a question for Howie. I know you say yes, but because you have extreme draft capital this year, you'll be in a better position than other teams to trade for like an elite level quarterback should one become available. While you said that, Jalen answered a lot of questions for you, if the right player is available at the right cost, are you willing to make that kind of a move that might not be possible in future off seasons when you have fewer assets to trade?
Yeah, I think for us, what we're doing right now is we're evaluating our team and we're continuing to figure out ways to build. We're not happy about the fact that, our season ended in the playoffs. We want to build a team that has home playoff games, gets to play in front of our fan base, really build a team that gets a bye. So those opportunities, those assets that you talk about allow us to continue to build, really helps us add good players to this team. Our job is to look at everything, to evaluate every position, every player. We do that not only for right now in this moment, but we also do it so we have information when players become available at any position.
Go ahead, Dave, and then Mike K.
Hey, Howie, why haven't we seen Jalen Reagor take steps toward the growth that we probably anticipated? And are there some lessons from that pick that you take out?
Yeah, certainly as we head into year 3, you expected more from Jalen at this point. We had a chance to sit down with him after the season and had an honest conversation about the things that he needs to develop and the things that we can help him develop to continue his growth. In terms of learning from anything, that we have to do that. We have to continue to evolve. We kind of have to look at not only the things that maybe we don't like about our decision-making, not just talking about Jalen in this situation, but talking about as a whole, but also the things that we did well. And I think that's part of continuing to grow in your job and in your profession.
Go ahead, Mike, and then John McMullen.
Hey, Howie and Nick. Howie, this one's for you. With 3 first-round, I'm not trying to ignore you, Nick. I mean, I've talked to you quite a bit.
Hey,
we're good.
We've been talking for the last 6 months. That's good. I'm just listening.
All right, so Howie, you've got 3 first-round picks. You haven't drafted an off-ball linebacker in 40 years. I mean, you're part of that. You haven't drafted a cornerback in 20 years in the first round, safety ever. With 3 first-round picks, how can that change your strategy towards positional value coming into this draft?
Well, I think we have a philosophy on how to build this team, a philosophy that we think has been successful. Obviously, you'd like more championships every time you're out there, but, we're going to stay committed to the way we think to build the team. In terms of having those 3 first-round picks, I think it's important that we bring in good players that fit the system that our coaches run, that also fit the fabric of this team. And we have a lot of good players who are also good people. It's important for us to have those guys on the team. And we don't go into a draft saying we're not going to do something. I think for us, it's all about the skill set of that particular player, the football character of that player. And as we get more heavy into this draft and sitting down and having a lot of conversation with our coaching staff, we'll discuss all that stuff.
Go ahead, John and Tim McManus.
Hi, Howie, Nick. Good morning. To kind of piggyback off that, and you've had different coaching staffs. Obviously, this is the first year with Nick. It's sort of, how does that change your philosophy? Because I assume everybody's a little bit different. They value certain things for their scheme a little bit more. And Nick, you can probably talk to this as well. How does that change your philosophy beyond building on both sides of the ball, which has been so successful for you?
Yeah, I think I was very fortunate to start my career working with a Hall of Fame coach, and he always talked about the fact that we have to be extensions of the coaching staff. You know, if there's not a fit, if there's not a vision, if we're drafting players who don't fit the particular scheme of our coaching staffs, these players aren't going to be able to develop into the players that we want them to be. So I think everything's about communication. Everything's about vision from the coaching staff. Coach and his staff do a tremendous job before we acquire any player of saying, and here's how we see him fit. I could even see Coach, turn around a notebook paper and saying, and here's how we see him fit. And I think that just makes our job easier to be able to have that vision and understand when we're watching them on Sundays or Mondays or Thursdays or I guess Tuesdays this year, what it's going to look like down on the field and having everyone on the same page.
Go ahead, Tim, and then Jeff McLean.
Hey, Howie, just for clarity's sake regarding the quarterback, are you going into this offseason with the mindset that Jalen Hurts is your quarterback in 2022?
Yes. I think for us, we got to do whatever we can to continue to help him develop. And how do we do that? By surrounding him with really good players. Players continue to grow. That's a huge part of developing. They grow. How they are in their second year is not how they're going to be in year 4, 5, 6, and 7. And they're also products of the people around them. So that's on us to continue to build this team.
Go ahead, Jeff, and then Elliot.
This question's for Nick. Nick, will you retain Jonathan Gannon, and assuming he isn't hired as a head coach, Shane Steichen and Michael Clay as your coordinators, and will the rest of the staff remain as is? And then just to be clear, have you met with Jeffrey Lurie yet for the season-ending interview?
Yeah, really, really like this staff and everything that we have in this staff right here. I think it's a great group of guys that work well together. I think that's really important, that guys work well together within the building. And that starts by, having a good group of guys, a good group of people, and that are talented at what they do. So, as of right now, again, I'm evaluating everything like I would at the end of the year, right? I'm evaluating every player. I'm meeting with every player. I'm evaluating every coach. I'm meeting with every coach. I'm really happy with the people that we have in this building. I'm really happy with the staff that we have, and look forward to continuing to work with them. I have not had my end-of-year meeting with Mr. Lurie. Look forward to doing that as well, to be able to talk through all the things that of this season. After a long season, being able to talk through all those things. So. Yeah, look forward to all those meetings that we're having. I started some of our coaches' meetings today, probably through about five of my end of year meeting with the coaches, with the guys upstairs, and look forward to talking to all of them here within today and tomorrow.
Go ahead, Elliot, and then Zach Berman.
This question's for Howie and Nick. Howie, your team became much more of a run-first offense over the last month, and you had success doing it. But I was curious if you want to try to get back to more of a pass-first offense. When you look around the league, that's how a lot more teams are kind of winning at a high level.
Yeah, I think our goal is to win as many games as possible, and however that comes about is something that makes us happy. I don't think I've ever walked into the locker room unhappy with a win, and so I think Coach and his staff do a great job of fitting to the personnel. It's kind of ironic because a year ago today was our first meeting with Coach. And one of the things that he said that really won us over was that, his scheme was going to be dependent on the players and the personnel, and he was going to utilize our personnel in the way that they would be able to maximize their talents and for us to win games.
Go ahead, Zach, and then Martin Frank.
Hey, it's nice to see you, Nick, but this one's also for Howie. Howie, you've approached off seasons differently when the team was in a building stage compared to maintaining a contending team. Mm-hmm. How do you view the off season and the stage that the team is in now? Is it still the transition period that you discussed last year, or is this a go for it period where you're comfortable making short-term decisions?
Yeah, it's ironic that you asked this question, Zach, because I have spent a lot of time thinking about some of our off seasons and those transitions, and some of the years where I thought maybe we needed a specific role or player to push us over, when we had made the playoffs and maybe lost in the playoffs, and some of the maybe mistakes for overvaluing that particular skill set. as opposed to really keeping building the team and getting players that fit the scheme, fit the culture that we're trying to build here, and just really good players. And, I think until you're really talking about a team that is hosting home playoff games and getting the 1 and 2 seeds, you're in building mode, and I think that that's where we are right now. Again, going back to just, for me, today is a symbolic day. I don't know that Bob set the press conference today because I felt that way, but in terms of sitting down with Coach for the first time and then where we are a year later, and we knew we had things that we had to do to build at that time when we sat down, and I think it gives us the opportunity with some of the assets that we've acquired over the last year to continue to build and also look at our team and think that there are good players here, good players that help us get to the playoffs.
Go ahead, Martin, and then Rob Motti.
Hey, good morning, guys. This question, I guess, is kind of for Nick. It's kind of expanding on what Zach asked, but more specifically with regards to wide receivers. You guys obviously came into the season with a really young group at wide receiver with, Devontae, Quez, and Jalen Reagor. And I was wondering just, your evaluation of them, their growth, and like if you guys feel like you need, to go after like a free agent or someone who can kind of take you over the top at that position in particular.
Yeah, I feel really good about the wide receiver group as a whole. I think you have a number one guy in Devontae Smith. I think he's a number one receiver. And he's continuing to get better. Why do I think he's a number one receiver? Because he can consistently win one-on-one. He can get the ball into his hands and make plays with the ball in his hands. Maybe on some short pass. He catches everything, right? His competitive nature. So I think that there's not a lot of true number one receivers in the NFL, and I think we have one that is going to continue to get better. And then I look at Quez Watkins as he's our number 2 wide receiver, and he's got big time speed. He has a knack to make plays. Of course, you always want to get the style of offense that we played this year. Didn't allow for Quez to get as many touches as he probably deserves. But we did everything we could do to win each and individual game. And so Quez has big play ability in him. And I think out of the number 2 wideouts I've been around in the NFL, he can be one of the best number 2s that I've been around in the NFL because of his skill set and because of his ability to make plays. I think a lot of us talk about Jalen Hurts and his ability to just be very steady. Quez Watkins is very, and that's a trait that we all value in Jalen Hurts. Quez Watkins is the same way. Like, he's not going to get too up. He's not going to get too down, throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of a year. I'm really pleased with him and gosh, like to have 2 guys like that you really trust and you really are scheming to open to try to make plays. That's a big positive. And then Jalen Reagor, we want more production from Jalen Reagor, and he has all the talent to do so. So I like him in that number 3 spot right now to be able to make plays because he has skill, he has talent. It's our job as coaches to get that skill and that talent out of him, and so it produces on the field. And it's our job as coaches to put him in position to succeed. And that's a two-way street. I'm not by any means saying I'm taking all the blame or all the credit or whatever it is, right? And because it's a two-way street, and Jalen's got to make the plays when the opportunity arises. But he does have extreme talent that, for a number, what we're considering a number 3 receiver, to be able to make plays. And then, I really valued Greg Ward's contribution to the group and I can't say enough good things about Greg Ward. Like, he's one of the main leaders on this team. He's one of the main leaders in that wideout room. And it's through example of how he kind of goes about his business. For a guy to have whatever 50 or 60 catches that he had last year and then take a little bit step back of the role that he had this year, but still be able to lead, that speaks volumes to what kind of person Greg Ward is. And each room needs a leader in that aspect. And then you always need, again, like we're kind of having this conversation, ask me about wideouts, and we're kind of painting the picture the same way Howie and I would talk about it, like what do you need for the room? And you have that blocking element of JJ. JJ did a really good job in his role this year of our enforcer, of our guy that would go out and get blocks when we needed him to pave the way for the #1 rush offense in the NFL. And I don't want to say pave the way. We know our offensive line and our tight ends and our backs paved the way. But that is a very appreciated position in the blocking wide receiver, because those sometimes spring 5-yard runs to 15-yard runs or 20-yard runs or 8-yard runs into 28-yard runs. And so I'm pleased with this group. Again, you're not going to have the same statistical output when they're this type of offense that we were this year. But I am very pleased with this group, and I know that this is a good group. Are we always going to look to add talent to the group and playmakers to the group? Of course. But I like where we sit right now as the wide receiver group, and I think we can continue to grow at that group because of the guys we have, the talent that we have, and the guys that we have in that room.
Go ahead, Rob, and then EJ Smith.
Hey guys, two-part question. First one for either of you. Have you communicated to Jalen that he will be the starting quarterback going into next season? And will you address with him what's probably going to be endless rumors about you pursuing someone else? And then part two for Howie, you have those 3 first-round picks. That's going to give you a ton of flexibility. But how much value do you see in maybe leveraging any of those for draft capital in 2023?
As far as the first part, Jalen knows where he stands with us. He knows he's our quarterback. That's how do you know where you stand with a coaching staff? Because you communicate and you talk over and over and over and over again. And so Jalen knows where he stands with us. I thought he did a great job of getting better throughout the year, as we've talked about. And so there's no secrets there. He knows he's our guy.
Rob, ask me again what part you wanted me to answer, please.
Howie, having those 3 first-round picks is going to give you a ton of flexibility. So how much value do you see in leveraging any of those for future draft capital?
I think it depends who's on the board, right? I think really it's always an equation of if there's a guy on the board that we think has incredible value for that pick, whether it's in the first round, second round, if we have a group of guys that we value similarly and we can move back. And I think because of the amount of picks we have in this draft, maybe even getting picks for 2023 and getting in a situation similar to this year where we have a lot of picks, we have a lot of value. I think that would be good, but of course, it will depend on who's on the board and the value of that player on the board. Thank you.
Go ahead, EJ, and then Bo Wolf.
Hey guys, this one's for Howie. We haven't really had a chance to talk to you since Fletcher Cox's name came up in trade rumors around the deadline. I just want to know, I guess, what's his standing with the team going into the offseason and what went into the decision at the deadline?
Well, I think first of all, it's our job to listen to everything and to see if there are ways to improve our team. And obviously, Fletcher's a great player, and teams where we were at the deadline were making calls. And for us, it's important. Our priorities are always going to be along the line of scrimmage, and obviously, like having him and Hargrave and you see the growth from Milton inside. That's a huge part of our defense and a huge part of our priorities. And so, just like Coach said, we communicate with our players. They know when things are going on. We'll be honest. We have honest communication. And so Fletch knew what was going on. We communicated with him. And, he's a guy that was a big part of the success that we had down the stretch. And he can continue to take over games and be an incredible player, and we expect more from that going forward.
Go ahead, Bo, and then John Clark.
This question's for Howie. Howie, I guess, could you just share with us your sort of evaluation of the arc of the season? The balancing the the second half improvement against the strength of schedule, and did anything surprise you?
Just really proud of our coaches and our players and really the whole building sticking together. Obviously, during a season, you're going to have adversity. I don't think anyone flinched during that time of adversity. We knew this season was going to be some highs and some lows. I think we felt that during training camp, that we were kind of trying to figure out our identity, our personnel, and Coach did an amazing job with that. So really proud of him and his staff. And the communication that they had throughout that process. And at the same time, like I said, Bo, like we have to continue to build. We know that we have to get to a certain level to be a team that has a bye, that has home playoff games, and eventually competes to win a world championship. And so I think that certainly not satisfied with where we are. We know there's a lot of work to do. And we started that. We started that during the season by re-signing our own free agents, which is a huge part of free agency, is to keep your own players, the guys that you know their work ethic, you know their fit. And we did that to kind of get a head start and a kick start into the season. But there's a lot of work to be done and excited about the opportunity ahead.
John and then Ed Kratz.
Hey, this is a question for Nick. Some quarterbacks who played in their first playoff game this past weekend really struggled like Kyler Murray and Mac Jones and Jalen. When you're evaluating Jalen Hurts this year and thinking about where he can get to, how much do you weigh that playoff appearance and what happened versus what happened the second half of the season against non-playoff teams?
Yeah, you take everything into account, and nothing in the NFL is a given. I think we see that all over the NFL. Like nothing's a given. You got to come out and ready to play each and every week, no matter who you're playing, no matter what their record is, because anybody can be anybody at any time in this league. And so you take into account the whole body of work, right? And you don't just count Jalen's game against the Giants, as we all know that he didn't. We've already discussed what we felt like and what he felt like of how we played in that game. You take into account the entire body of work, and so I'm pleased with the way he developed as a passer, as a quarterback. I think again we've seen so many things that he got better at. And that goes into Jalen. First and foremost, Jalen and the football character that he has, the desire and the want to of how badly this guy wants to be elite player in this league. And then you take into account Shane Steichen, who's a great offensive coordinator, and Brian Johnson, a phenomenal quarterback coach, and our offensive staff doing everything they need to do to get Jalen ready to play. So a lot of factors go into why Jalen got better as a passer, starting with Jalen first. But you saw him develop again when he wasn't able to have that ability to run as effective with the ankle. The three of his last four games he played over 100 quarterback rating there. You saw him develop in the sense of early in the year when he had to extend a play, it was a run. Later in the year, and I felt like we just had to continue to get better in our scramble drills. He became a passer as he extended plays. That really helped us down the stretch there. So just really pleased with how he's developed as our quarterback. And again, you just don't take into account a game in the playoffs. You look at it, it counts, obviously, right? It was just, even more so. But, you look at the whole body of work, and as the whole body of work, we're very pleased of where he is and where he's going to be.
Go ahead, Ed, and then Chris Franklin.
Yeah, hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Howie, I just want to ask you, there's a report out there about Brandon Brooks retiring. I just wonder if you could update us on his situation. And then as far as Brandon Graham, as we sit here on January 19th, how do you see him, any role for him going forward on the team?
Yeah, starting with Brandon, we had a lot of communication with Brandon, and it was really important for us to make sure that Brandon Brooks ended the season healthy, and to make sure that he had an off season where he was healthy and he wasn't rehabbing, and that's the extent of our communication. I met with him at the end of the season. And obviously you're talking about like one of the greatest players, one of the greatest guards in the history of the franchise, and have tremendous respect for him as a player and as a person. But really, those are the conversations we've had with Brandon up to this point. In terms of BG, I'm sorry, Ed, one more time, what was the question on BG?
Yeah, what do you see a role for him on this team next year? I know it's early in the evaluation process, but how do you view him as returning player off of an Achilles injury?
Yeah, we miss BG. We miss BG, the player, and there's nobody who can replace BG, the person and the leader that he is as well. And we know he's attacking this rehab. We see him every day around here, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. And we do see a role for him going forward, and we're excited to get him back next year. He's a huge part of our football team.
Chris, and then Les Bowen.
Hey, this question is for Howie. Howie, what did you learn about Nick during the second half turnaround?
Yeah, I think Nick is the same guy every day, and no matter what happened, he loves to coach this football team. He's got an incredible passion for his job. He's an incredible leader, his messaging to the teams, some of those things that you think when you're interviewing someone, but you don't really get until you're part of it. Were incredible. He's got great communication skills, and I know he would say this, that he's still developing. He's going to get better and better as he sees more things and more experience. I feel really fortunate to have the opportunity to work with him, and excited about doing whatever I can to help him have success.
Go ahead, Les, and then Jeff Mosher.
Thanks.
Hey, fellas.
Okay.
I have a question. I'd really like an answer from each of you, if you don't mind. The 2022 Eagles, how do you see them? How do you want them to be different from the 2021 Eagles? And don't say, win a few more games or something like that. But, what's as specifically as you can, how do you want this to be different next year?
Let me start. Yeah, I think you never want to put yourself in a hole, right, and where you're 2-5 to start things off. You want to start off, better than what we started off. But you see around the league all the time where teams, maybe start off quick and then fade off. So I think what's important and where I'm happy with this team is that this team did get a little bit better each week, where we were playing our better football later in the year. So, starting off fast we didn't start off fast the last month of the season as far as a team, and sometimes it was the offense not starting fast, and sometimes it was the defense not starting fast in a game. And so that's the main thing, that you want that to be consistent throughout the year, the starting fast, staying fast, so you can accomplish what Howie was just talking about, getting a home playoff game and having our great fans at our game. I know we had great support at Tampa, but it's so much nicer to play here. And so the getting off to a good start, not just being 1-0, but getting off to that good start in that first quarter of the season, I think is really important. But staying there and staying the course, which I know we did throughout this year of, hey, it started slow, but the course was this still throughout the entire year. I think that's what the best teams in this league do. They do this throughout the entire year. So starting fast, but also staying in that upward trajectory of that, I think, obviously then we can do what our goals are, is to win the division, right, and to get into to get a home playoff game to make some noise there.
And Howie, do you have a thought there?
He just killed it. He hit a lot of the topics that I was going to talk about, Les. But certainly from our perspective as front office, just giving them as many good players and good people as we possibly can, and continue to look down on the field before games and feel really confident about the talent and ability that we have on this team that we present for our coaches and our fans. And, we take that part, really to heart. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have time for two more, so we'll go to Jeff and then Chris Murray.
Hey, Howie, question for you. I know last year at this time, in this kind of press conference, you were asked a lot about Carson Wentz's future, and I believe you had said that you couldn't see, kind of like your fingers not being without him. Then obviously things changed with the outcome there. So I wonder if there are any scenarios that could arise this time around where you've already given a commitment to Jalen Hurts as your starter, but could that, for football reasons, could that change?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Second person today who's reminded me about my fingers on my hands comment, must come from having a lot of kids. I think that when you look at any position, opportunities come about in this league. And I'm certainly not talking about the quarterback position, where you have to make decisions about what's best for the franchise. And I think last year with Carson, we had to figure out going forward what really made the most sense, when we got the offer that we did. And so certainly that changed there. I understand that. But us right now, we're in this mode of trying to build this team and get as many talented players that we possibly can to compete for championships going forward. And we have a great opportunity to do that this offseason to keep building.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, yeah, this question for Nick Sirianni. There were times this season when your quarterback, Jalen Hurts, struggled with accuracy and getting the ball downfield. Is there something that he has to specifically work on? Do you have an off-season program to specifically help him get better at being a more accurate quarterback and getting the ball out on time to receivers and finding open receivers and not missing them?
Yeah, the offseason. So I haven't had my personal meeting with Jalen yet, and so this is all things that him and I will discuss. And at the end of each meeting with the players, I'm going to ask them, what their offseason plan is and what our offseason. And one of the things we'll discuss is what our offseason plan is for them. When you talk about accuracy, right? Accuracy starts with knowing where to go with the football, and then I'm always about the feet, and then the finish. And so Jalen did really when you talk about that is just getting your feet set, being able to set your target line where you want it to be set. And so that's a constant thing that you're doing. That's like shooting free throws, right? You have to put yourself in that position over and over and get your target line set there, your foot, your toe on the dot, all the things that you do go through there. It's the same thing with quarterback play. And so anytime you talk about accuracy, right, it's getting your feet set. And how do you get your feet set in the position where you want to throw it? It's through constant reps. So it's the drills that we did throughout the entire year of getting his feet set to make the throws that he needed to make, and he needs to make in the year. And I definitely think he got better at that. But that is accuracy is something you're always as a quarterback want to have that trajectory of going forward. So we'll be continuing to do those drills that we did. As far as the decision making, right? The decision making is you see quarterbacks in the NFL get better at decision making as they get older, and that's why there's not a lot of fall off with a quarterback like Drew Brees or Tom Brady, or in my case last year with Phillip Rivers, where these guys they just know where to go with the football because they've seen everything. So how do you do that as a quarterback? And well, first of all, it is reps. It's the reps you get in training camps. It's the reps you get in the game. But like we do things to accelerate that, right? And so it's the film. It's the way we break down film for them and go over it with them and put them in that position again and again and again. Okay, here's this curl flat concept versus cover 3. All right, and here's the ball being delivered to the curl. Oh, and just show them that over and over and over again, and show them him doing it, show them other quarterbacks around the league doing it, et cetera, right? Okay, here's this deep cross, shallow concept against cover 4. Put him in that position as much as you can now, right? So it becomes even second nature when he's doing that in training camp. Now, there's no replacement for the physical reps that you're going to get, but you try to do that as much as you can with film and as much as you can with the review of the season and other quarterbacks around the league. And so that's where it will start, of our personal film of going through all those things and all the reads and going through there to get him to play at even a faster level. Again, we saw him play at a faster level as the season went on, but to get him to play at even a faster level And then, like I said, with the drill work on that. So it starts in the film room. And so we'll have a very detailed plan for that. We've been doing this with the quarterbacks for a long time. I'm fortunate enough to have been around really good quarterbacks that have also taught me, I learned a lot from Frank and how he went about his process of how he developed quarterbacks and that, and then being around Phillip Rivers, who played for 17 years in the NFL. These are things that I've taken from them of what they did in the offseason to make sure that they were playing at a higher level in the two areas that you talked about the following year.
Hey, guys, I just wanted to thank our fans. We know it's still not totally normal out there, but the support we had, having fans back was outstanding. It was a lot of fun to be in our stadium, and hopefully we continue to play well and win home games. And then thank you guys. I know it's hard with everything going on to leave your families and be on the road and come out to practice every day, and just keep everyone safe and healthy, and look forward to speaking to you guys again in the near future. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate your time, Howie and Coach.
Thanks.